Good morning, friends. Welcome to my garden. I figured this morning let's talk about what my plans are for this year as I walk around and check on everything. I've thrown some seeds in. We're supposed to possibly get some storms. Ooh, as I almost dropped this. Some storms. And it's windy, so hopefully we can hear everything. Let's talk about my first big garden project for this year. I am going to rip out these 3 beds and I'm going to build something a little more durable, I guess you could say. I built these beds out of just your cheap 2x4s that aren't pressure treated, that are, somewhat safe to grow for the garden, but now they're lasting so well. Where we are, we have so much water, but then there's also termites, bugs, and other things that pressure treated, non-pressure treated wood outside just does not last. So they're done. I think I'm going to build something out of metal, corrugated metal. That is my plan for this bed, and I'm gonna span it. Instead of doing separate beds, I'm just gonna do one long bed. And because now that we've built our fence, I can go a little wider. We are a good distance away from that house, just to be able to get like a hoe or things behind it to keep clear to maintain the house. So first big project is this. I need to price everything out. I need to get everything. I'm trying to decide if at the end of the bed, between the end of the bed and my fence, if I want to leave space for like a rain barrel for water collection. Now part of me feels like that's a great idea. We have so much rain, why not just collect some water? But the other part of me is, we get so much rain, would it just be overfilling all the time? So I'm trying to decide what to do, but we do have a drain spout from our gutters that ends right at this corner. So it would be, it's the perfect place for it if I decide to do it. So that's my next thing. Right now I do have little bits in this bed. This is, I thought I planted kale, but it's now looking like maybe kohlrabi or rutabaga. These are rutabagas. They're starting to get like powdery mildew. Can you believe it? It's kind of crazy that even brassicas in the winter don't last here. And then these back here are my carrots. And so what I'm going to do, and my biggest hope for this bed, is I can kind of just take the wood off. Hopefully I don't have to move too much of the dirt, and then I can just kind of build around it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to move the dirt, and then I will just use this as fill dirt again. And that's the first project I want to do in my garden. Shall we talk about what I want to do next? My other big project is this corner. Can you see this? Would you believe that? This is a weed. Blackberries are weeds here. Now, where I lived in Southern California before moving here, blackberries weren't really a weed. We did have berry weeds, but where I lived, it wasn't a problem. Where I lived in California, we had such a bad drought for so many years that things just weren't growing. I mean, it was just impossible. But here, things grow like no other. We get too much rain, too much water sometimes. So having this blackberry that took over my compost has been a learning curve. We thought maybe if we let it go 1 year, it would produce berries. We let it go, it did produce berries, but the berries were so small, so insignificant that it was not worth it. And I prune this weekly. The only part about these blackberries is they have thorns. So many thorns. So they're just frustrating. I guess that's the best way to do it. It's very frustrating to prune it and pull it up, because you pull up the roots, you pull up and it just keeps coming back. So I just have to get motivated one day and I will rip all this out. I am going to take out this chicken wire. I'll probably repurpose this chicken wire for trellising, and we're gonna have to get rid of this blackberry nonsense because I do have 2 blackberries, and I bought another one in the house that needs to get transplanted, and I think I'm gonna put them in pots in this corner so then they can kind of use the fence to trellis because it gets so much light, because this way is south, that way is north. Where we wanted to put them in our front yard, the more we mapped the sun, the more we realized that it doesn't get enough sun, so can't really put them there. So they're gonna go here in pots for now till we can figure out something better. Now, another big thing I'm planning to do this year is loofahs. Loofahs is something I've been wanting to grow forever, and I have 5 or 6 seeds sprouting. I mean, who knows if they will make it outdoors. I planted 10 seeds in hopes that I could at least get 5. That's my goal, 50% between germination and all of that. But I really want to be able to grow loofahs this year. I feel like that would be so fun. My problem is I don't really have a good trellis system. And I know I can make trellises out of hog panels and T-posts and stuff like that. So that's, I think, one of the things I am planning. But I'm also thinking of, let's take you right over here, planting loofahs down here. So if I plant them down here, they can kind of go up the fence, and then they can use part of my mini greenhouse I built for one summer. Now, what I've loved about building this is we built it for last winter, and I had plastic over it. It kept some things out of the frost because we had such a bad winter, which was like a fluke winter for us. But I'm able to put like shade cloth and stuff over it in the summer for other plants because we get so hot. But now I'm thinking, well, I could trellis some of my loofahs on it. And so I'm thinking maybe I can keep loofahs in one direction, but then I keep thinking, can I keep the loofahs in one direction? But I have somewhere else. I think I want to try them a couple other places. So let's talk about that and what else I got growing right now. This corner behind me is the corner between the bed and my fence, and I made an in-ground garden bed last year. It worked great. I had watermelons, I had sweet potatoes, I had all sorts of things growing here, and I'm thinking about maybe making an arch to go from here over, and maybe I can plant underneath a few things that could stay a little cooler. Maybe I could keep my cucumbers under there a little bit longer, you know, just some things that sprout so fast for where I am. I could give them maybe a little bit more shade. It's an idea. But then I'm also having problems like this. It is January. No, it's not. It's February. My broccoli has bolted. My winter broccoli has bolted. Isn't that so fun? I mean, if I want to try to tell you guys about our weather, this is about how it is. And now I do have a few other broccolis back here that haven't quite produced their heads yet, but these have all gone to flower. I'm honestly just going to be leaving these until it's time to plant one for ground cover to, if our bees come out early, they're flowers already. But I do have this cabbage here, and then these are cabbages down here, and they are slowly starting to come to a head. Now, one of the local farms I like to buy produce at if my produce doesn't do good, and it's also a place I just like to buy stuff at because it's a great business, great local business. They have just planted out some of their broccoli and cabbage and stuff like that, so I'm hoping maybe some of the stuff I have now will start taking off a little bit better. And I am hoping. Now you might be asking, do I plan where I put things in my garden? No, I do not. I know some people really like to do that. If I make a plan and then I don't stick with it, I stress myself out. And so what I do is I have general areas where I would like to put some things, and then I don't stress about it. Like where I want to put that metal bed, I want to put a bunch of tomatoes there. Tomatoes, basil, and some peppers in between there. Now in the bed right here behind me is my garlic, and when my garlic comes out, I'm thinking a bunch of squashes and a few other things. And then my other big bed, I have a bunch of root crops now, and that's where I'm trying to think, where do I want to put like watermelon this year? Where do I want to put, you know, the things that I have to sow outdoors? I'm also trying to decide where I want to put my okra. Okra grows amazing here, and I think I'm going to do that in my front yard. So let's go out to my front yard and I can show you my plans out there for this year. Okay, in our front yard we have 8 blueberries. 6 of them are right here in the ground, and I am going to make a border between all of these blueberries and rip up the grass and basically make it to where it's a new garden bed. So I plan to plant flowers in here. I'm putting okra, thinking maybe I can throw in a few more tomatoes, peppers, and all of that. So these all right here grow so well. This is a peach tree. Honestly, I don't know how well it's doing this year. The year we had that crazy freak storm, like the year Texas froze like no other, it really damaged this tree. It's still going, it's still holding on, but it's just needs some help. So I'm hoping adding the bed here, which will go all the way to this blueberry right here, would be like 2-3 feet wide strip down. One, it would make mowing a whole lot easier in between, because every so often I will get a cane like this growing out of the ground, a brand new cane, and my husband will clip it with a lawnmower, the weed eater or something. And every year, no matter how much I pull back the grass, it all just invades my blueberries. So I'm hoping if I can rip up the grass and have this nice even bed, it will just be a beautiful place for pollinators and all sorts of things like that. And then you might notice I have these little planters I made last year around my crepe myrtles in my front yard. There's another broccoli that has bolted, and then I also have a cabbage that has bolted back here. In here I have sage, I have rosemary, I have rogue mint I'm still pulling up. Don't plant mint in the ground, you guys, it takes over. In here I had basil, I had lots of flowers and zinnias, and that's just what I plan to do again this year. Lots of flowers, lots of smaller vegetables. I want to try planting some squash, but I also want to try to plant loofahs here and have them trail us up these trees. Now if I lift you guys up, you can see the crepe myrtles. They're pretty bland trees. They're honestly not my favorite, but we have them here. So I'm hoping maybe I can get loofahs to grow up these trees. Now also in my front yard, we have ripped out bushes. So right here used to be horrible, ugly bushes. Bushes are not a thing I like to landscape with. I know lots of people do. I do not. So here I have a blueberry, oregano, a couple rosemary, thyme, and another blueberry. These 2 blueberries I am going to pull out and I'm going to replace with some other things. I think I'm going to throw a bunch of dill, more flowers and stuff like this. Now this area here gets very shaded because of how our house is with the sun. Now these blueberries are just not doing good. You can see they're just so small and spindly. I got them 2 years ago free during an Arbor Day. Was it Arbor Day? Earth Day? It was something. It was a special occasion day, and they're just not doing good here. I just don't think it's enough sun, so I'm going to take them out. I'm going to put them in some pots, and they might stay around my front yard. They might go in my little garden area, but then they will hopefully do better. So then I'm trying to decide what I want to do there. And then down here, right below my flag, you see this little stump? That is pineapple sage, which is amazing. I love it as a tea. It is so good. So now if I come over here, I'll show you my other little bed around this crepe myrtle. And in here, I have tons of parsley growing. This is bee balm. There's some leftover zinnias that I've left the seeds just falling out naturally. I've got kale. I've got thyme over there. I even have little zinnias popping up already. So that's kind of why I've left these. I mean, I can just pull them out now, but it's done good. Oh, and I have some lavender. I had 2 lavenders. One just did not do good. This one has done great. This overwintered. This down here is new stuff I've planted. So this is more of a flat leaf parsley. This is more of a curly parsley, and it's doing so good this time of year. Now let me show you my last little garden bed as I juggle you through here. Now this little spot is where I have some flowers. You can see stuff sprouting from last year already. I had sunflowers, I had marigolds, I had snapdragons, I think, in here, and a few other things. And it was just literally scrap wood. I mean, it's not even that pretty. Scrap wood I put here because in our little patio area that don't judge it. It needs to be cleaned out. That's another project I gotta do. It was just this leftover space. Now, when we did this, our next goal is we don't have gutters in our front yard. Our house had no gutters when we moved here. This is the next section of gutters to be done. And the downspout is gonna go here. It was gonna go down here this way, so we left it open. Now, the biggest thing is we're trying to decide how we wanna do our downspout. And with the water, since I do have this little bed here, but the flowers grow so well here, and because we get more afternoon sun than morning sun here, I think they lasted a little bit longer. I do have stuff here as well. Like I have some succulents, and I have a jade. This, I don't remember what it's called. It's another succulent. More succulents. This is a Mamie croton, I believe. And then down here, this is my mum from Thanksgiving time, and it all died back. You can see down here, it died back, and then it started sprouting. So I just clipped off the dead, and it's doing great. It's so exciting. And then a houseplant of some kind. But I try to keep little green little plants everywhere. I just enjoy it, and it is taking over our front yard. And like this. Can you see? All right, and then one of the last updates, here are my jalapenos that I had inside. I've moved them out. They have some new growth and all sorts of stuff. They are doing great. Here's some of that rogue mint that I talked about, you guys. This mint I dug out from the side of one of the planters around the tree because it just took over. So I put it in here, and hopefully it starts doing, you know, it can take over that pot, not that whole bed. And then here is my lime tree. Would you guys believe it? These blooms. I mean, look at this. Isn't this nuts? This lime tree, I do need a bigger pot for it. It's just what it's in since we got it, but I can't get over it. There's even little limes developing already. It is nuts, and it's crazy to see how green some of these things are and like how dead our grass is. I know as I talk about these projects and what I want to do, there's some people out there that are like, yes, I love projects. And there's some people out there like, oh my God, projects. I am on the team of yes projects. I always joke my husband and I's love language is projects. We just love to do projects together. It's just something I feel like that we get a bond with. We've really strove to make our house somewhere we don't want to leave. And for me, that's like how my kitchen got DIY'd, and all these garden spaces, because I enjoy it. I want to just make our house better. Now, these projects, they're a lot. There's some of them I could just do in a weekend, and like with this one here with these beds, I really need to get out here, measure, and see what I need to do next. So, you know, it's just all part of the fun. Part of the fun. For me, this is a whole lot of fun. I'm very excited that weather is slowly making a turn. We are still in the flip-floppy weather that Mississippi does. I know a lot of other places do this too. Like yesterday morning was in the 40s. This morning it was in the 60s. I can't really do too much about it. I just go with the flow. So in the meantime, this is where I start doing all my prep. Thank you guys for joining me. I had a ton of fun talking with you guys about my garden plans for my little urban homestead, urban farm, whatever you want to call it, whatever I got going on. I really enjoy it. And now I've woken up the neighbor's dogs, I guess. It's time to go time to go do other things. So thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. I love getting to talk about my garden, and that's why I started these videos. So if you like it, thank you. Please like, subscribe. That really does help my little channel. And have a good one, guys. Bye.